Hello, everyone. I'm David DeGuzman. Welcome inside the NBC4 Digital Center for the latest edition of NBC4 Sports Extra. It is an Olympic edition. We're wrapping up what's been, so far, 3 incredible days of competition. Orri Benatar joining me right now. We have a lot to get to, Orri, but 3 days in, what do you think of the competition so far?
It's been good. I think the hockey will get to a point where we'll start picking up the pace a little bit more. Very formulaic with the U.S., Canada, and Sweden kind of taking care of business, but figure skating still in the show, unbelievable, and speed skating, 3 Olympic records in all 3 finals thus far. It's been really, really exciting. Good start to these Winter Olympics.
It's crazy how many Olympic records have fallen on that temporary ice. We'll get to all of that shortly, but still the Super Bowl on our minds right now. And it's funny when an Olympics comes around the same time as the Super Bowl, because it's always interesting how people who are covering the Olympics will be able to watch the game. With Italy being 6 hours ahead, it was basically the middle of the night when the Super Bowl was happening, but our Brianna Hollis found a bar in Milan that was showing the game in the middle of the night.
So, of course, we are in Italy during the Winter Olympics, so all of these phenomenal winter sports are at the forefront, but right now it's about midnight in Milan as we're recording this, and this bar is packed with folks here for the Super Bowl.
You know how it goes. A group of Americans walk into a bar in Milan on Super Bowl Sunday. Really Super Bowl Monday, though, for everyone watching the game Italy time. It was admittedly chaotic at Offside Sports Pub, a small bar that ran the reservation-only service for the game.
Very busy.
But the staff was ready.
We have been receiving calls from people who wanted to watch the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, we had to, send them away because we've been fully booked for the past 2 weeks.
Some folks resorting to standing outside and watching the game through the window. We spoke with 2 of those fans, Mike and Christine Davis from New Hampshire, who eventually made it in.
Oh, it was actually really pleasant. It's nice and cool out there. They let us get a beer. We were visiting with people. Yeah.
So you guys get to see friends?
Yes. And now we're inside, so it's the best of both worlds.
The kitchen even stayed open late until 3 a.m. to keep fans fed as they watched the game in the middle of the night. Reporting from a sports bar in Milan, I'm Brianna Hollis.
Well, that's one way to watch the Super Bowl, right? Any lingering thoughts for you, Orri, on it wasn't the greatest of games, but at least New England wasn't shut out.
My lingering thought is that I don't want to have lingering thoughts about that game ever again. It was a disappointing game, and that's something one of the things I hate the most as sports fans when the Super Bowl's bad, because it's the most anticipated game of the year outside of maybe a Champions League final, and you want it to be great and you want it to be exciting, and it didn't deliver in that regard. So, I mean, defensively amazing from Seattle. They were the deserving champions, obviously, even before that Super Bowl had started. But, two for them. This decade has basically just been teams getting their second Vince Lombardi trophy, essentially.
That's true. I guess the NFC Championship game was the Super Bowl.
Broncos fans have got to be so angry. Like, God, if Bo Nix didn't get injured, we could have beaten the Patriots, and then we would have made it a game.
I know. For those of you wanting a much longer discussion about the Super Bowl, Joe Nugent and I did record something after the game happened on Sunday night. You can find that NBC4 Sports Extra right here on the NBC4 streaming channel. But Orri, let's go back to Olympics. We have some Alpine skiing to talk about. Before we discuss, Breezy Johnson winning the first gold medal for the United States. It was the first medal overall for Team USA. And Matt Barnes has a wrap-up of that incredible afternoon on the slopes of Cortina.
Well, the whole world was watching to see how Lindsey Vonn would do in the women's downhill competition. It was another American who stole the show and came away with the gold medal. That was Breezy Johnson skiing down the hill in 1 minute and 36 seconds and winning the gold by 0.04 of a second. That fast. That was the difference between gold and silver for Breezy. The first ever medal for her, the 30-year-old in her 3rd Olympics that she has qualified for, but only the 2nd she has competed in. She qualified in 2022 in Beijing, but could not compete because of a crash, ironically, right here in Cortina before the Games. That injury held her out, and now she was back on the same slopes and came away with gold.
To be back here to get the redemption on this hill, was not something that was ever assured or guaranteed, and I knew I had to go out there and take it for myself.
And it should come as no surprise that Johnson wins the gold medal. She was the fastest in training yesterday. Not to mention, she's been one of the best world downhill skiers the entire World Cup season. But she isn't the big name that Lindsey Vonn is. But now, I think people will remember her name.
Yeah, you know, I felt good this morning. I felt like almost like weirdly good, and so yeah, I just tried to keep rolling with that, and then the run itself was a little scrappy, and you know, I wasn't totally sure, but I thought it might be good enough, and it turned out to be.
Breezy skied before Vonn's injury, so she had to watch that from the leader's chair. And afterward, Breezy hoped, of course, that her teammate would be okay. But now her next focus is on Tuesday in the team combined competition, where she hopes to come away with another medal. A big day for Team USA on a day where a lot of eyes were on Lindsey Vonn. It was Breezy Johnson who comes away with that gold medal. Reporting in Cortina, I'm Matt Barnes.
It is not lost on me, Orri, that this is the first American gold medal in this event since 2010. The winner of that 2010 downhill was Lindsey Vonn. There was so much arc because you had the high of an American winning that event, and then, of course, you had that low of seeing Lindsey Vonn, who gave it her all going into the event, and so early in her run having to go down, that right pole clipping the gate. Just so many emotions, but that's also the Olympics.
The drama of the Olympics, the drama of sport unfolded in that downhill final. I remember just kind of, you know, my heart kind of skipped a beat when Lindsey Vonn crashed because, you know, you start that run, it's all that hope and anticipation that Vonn would be able to have a shot at a medal even with a ruptured ACL. But then, you know, one thing led to another and she crashes and what likely will be the end of her skiing career, which is such a sad ending, but it shouldn't take away from her legacy, of course. It will be a lasting memory for people, but it should not take away from the fact that she's one of the greatest Winter Olympians ever. But Breezy Johnson just breezed through that course and was able to get that first gold medal, but also a sort of a full circle moment for her.
Right.
She crashed in Cortina
4 years ago.
and she missed Beijing 4 years ago because of that crash. So similar circumstances to what Lindsey had dealt with, but it also just goes to show with Lindsey's crash and with, you know, how well Breezy did. Alpine skiing is freaking dangerous.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really,
You could not put me
really
there.
dangerous.
You could not. I mean, Joe Nugent of the group is probably the closest to someone who will go downhill. Maybe not an Olympic downhill course, but the things that these winter athletes do is crazy, that you could never get me to do it. But it also says a lot about the grit and the determination for all of these athletes. I mean, Breezy and Lindsey Vonn are two athletes who, you know, they've never been afraid to go after what they've wanted. And, you know, when you talk about Breezy, I mean, she's not even done. She'll be competing in the combined event, as Matt Barnes reported. This has to give her a lot of confidence moving forward. So great for the United States getting that gold. I hate that for Lindsey Vonn. And I wonder how she moves forward just in terms of her skiing career, because we have to see what happens after this injury.
Yeah.
But knowing her, I don't think this is the way that she wants her skiing career to end. Whether that means coming back for a world championships, if she can do that, we'll see. But something tells me that she still has something to write in her chapter of being a competitive skier. Let's move on now to the other big story coming out of the weekend, team figure skating. What a performance by Team USA. And what's so interesting is in prime time, NBC did not show the pairs performance. And to be honest, I thought that was the performance that had the most grit, because this was a pair that not only they knew they probably wouldn't have a shot in the individual pairs competition, but I get it that they placed fourth. They probably would have placed fourth no matter what. But if you saw what they were able to do in that competition, it really gave the United States the kind of lift that they needed to go through the rest of the event. Before we talk about it, let's hear from that pairs duo that was able to help the United States win gold.
We've been focused on you.
Yeah, all right, we really get so much time. All right, with Olympic gold medalist Ellie Cam and Danny O'Shea, congratulations. Ellie, you know, in the short program, you had a slip.
Yeah.
Last night, you fought through it. Where does that come from on that stage to be able to do that?
You know, it's
It's like an internal kind of energy, I think. I was talking to our psychologist right after that. I was like, I think I had like this like grit inside that I was like, I'm not gonna let any type of distraction or anything get in the way of getting done what we know we're capable of doing. And it wasn't even something that was decided on the ice. I think it was decided before we even got into the building that day. So
Grit, it's a Michigan thing. So Danny, you guys picked up a point that turned out to be huge. How big is that for you guys, your confidence as you go forward, and what did that mean?
Honestly, it's amazing to be able to contribute in a significant way to the team. Like the team is an amazing team. Obviously, we're Olympic gold medalists, right? And being able to help out in our way was really meaningful to us in particular. So we're going to use it. We're going to take the confidence, going to take the momentum, and roll with it into the individual event.
I'm sure those things feel just glorious around the neck.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks. Back to you guys.
Orri, I mean, these two, I heard Tara and Johnny talk about it on the broadcast. That was the best skate that they had done all season long. And it really set the tone for the rest of the night. I mean, Amber Glenn, again, that wasn't the performance that she wanted, but it was still solid. And then, of course, the quad god, Ilya Malinin, that wasn't 100% clean either. But here's the thing about Ilya. You don't have to have your 100% clean in order to clinch the points that you needed in order to win. What was your take from the evening that was team figure skating?
I mean, I agree that Ellie Cam and Danny O'Shea, their performance was sort of the lift that the USA at the very end kind of needed to win gold, because they only won by a point over the Japanese. And there was some speculation that Cam and O'Shea would maybe finish 5th out of the 5 pairs that skated on Sunday. So the fact that they were able to get the 7 points instead of the 6, that was huge. I think Chalk and Bates were super clutch for the U.S., getting 20 points. This is the maximum they could have gotten. Malinin in the high difficulty, it's like a Simone Biles in gymnastics. He could fall twice and still have the highest score. But what's crazy is as impressive as the quads are, the move that everyone was talking about online right before kickoff of the Super Bowl was the backflip landing on one foot, which is
insane.
Nuts.
I definitely gasped out loud watching him. I mean, I'm going to have to put a camera on me the next time he goes out on the ice, just because I'm one of those shifty people watching, kind of nervous. But yeah, that had me just out of my seat and just going out of control. So I'm really looking forward to the men's figure skating competition, which also happens this week. Let's take a break, shall we? On the other side of the break, Orri Benatar continues to talk with us. We're going to talk about the opening ceremony, plus curling, mixed doubles. So much to talk about. You're watching NBC4 Sports Extra.
Milan was packed with athletes, family, and fans. Everyone's super pumped about the opening ceremony here in Milan. The opening ceremony was a nod to Italian culture, history, fashion, and music, with performances from Italian opera singers plus American icon Mariah Carey. Dancers celebrated all things Olympics and showcased their proud Italian heritage. Since these games are spread out across the country, this is the first time 2 Olympic cauldrons were lit at the same time. One here in Milan, the other up in Cortina. A smaller ceremony there still gave the athletes competing in the mountains a chance to feel that Olympic spirit. Athletes from countries across the globe walked out one after the other, representing their flags in Cortina and in Milan. Hundreds of athletes from Team USA walked out together, waving to friends and family in the stands. Speed skater Aaron Jackson and bobsledder Frank Del Duca carrying the American flag, picked by their teammates to represent the country. While tens of thousands of people were inside San Siro Stadium, watch parties across the city let fans who didn't have a ticket experience the magic.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. And we're here studying fashion. Yeah. Or we're studying our masters, and it's so cool to dissect each country's focus on a fashion line.
You can really see the emphasis on style and color, and you can really see Italian fashion in the Olympics.
So neat. It's so neat. And Armani's walk. Whoa.
Oh my God.
Whoa. That was nuts.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Crazy.
Organizers say the goal of the opening ceremonies here was to bring together all of the Olympic venues in Italy and really bringing about that theme of harmony and peace. In Milan, I'm Aisha Tolliver.
All right, back here with Orri Benatar. I know it was like 3 days ago, but we still want to talk about the opening ceremony a bit. For me, it was solid. It wasn't one of those grand opening ceremonies that I think we'll be talking about in years and decades, like a Beijing '08, or I mean, even Paris, because it was, you know, so different. There were some unprecedented things that we've never seen before, like dual cauldrons and athletes parade from 4 different places. But I thought it was a really solid ceremony, Orri.
I liked it. I would like to see for LA 28 a parade of athletes that's maybe not as convoluted. Now, granted, I think they actually did a pretty good job having athletes march in 4 different places. But again, it looks a little awkward where you've got like 100 Americans walking in Milan, and then you go to Prajazzo and there's like one guy from Guinea-Bissau or something. And it's cool. The vibes were nice and all, but I think I'd like to see sort of the older school parade of nations. Everyone's all together in one place. We'll see if that is the case for LA, but I think the ceremony was good. It was really, the Olympic rings, the way they formed those was really nice. The cauldron lighting was cool.
And it's real fire.
Yeah.
I mean, like Beijing was just, you put the torch in the snowflake and then that's it. I was like, oh gosh. Paris was like, you know, it looks cool, but it wasn't a real fire.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure because I thought it was like, is this like an LED effect? But I've been told, it's been confirmed to me that is a real flame that is burning in those 2 cauldrons.
And that's ideal.
I mean, I know we're trying to reduce carbon emissions. We're trying to be, you know, greenhouse, you know, friendly and all that stuff. But man, I mean, you want the real fire. So
also, Andrea Bocelli was way better than Mariah Carey.
Oh, I mean,
not even a comparison.
Props to Mariah Carey for singing in Italian, but also the fact that Andrea Bocelli sang that, hopped on a plane, came here to Columbus to start off his world tour. Pretty amazing. Let's dedicate some time, shall we, to mixed doubles curling. As we're taping this, the United States, and another thrilling one. I feel like all their games, all their matches, even the losses were thrilling.
Nail biters.
They defeated Italy in the semifinals. Not only the host nation, but also the defending champs in this event. Let's hear from the team of Corey and Corey because they are about to compete for a gold medal on Tuesday in mixed doubles.
Hard pounding. I can't imagine for those that are making it happen. You two, final stone. What was the mentality in your mind with down 1, needing 2?
Yeah, you know, we at the beginning of that end, you know, it wasn't ideal to give up 3 there in the 7th, but Corey said, you know, we've got our power play in the last end. All we need is 2, and that's an ideal situation for us to be in. I knew Corey was going to set us up, and I was going to have a shot for the win, and that's something that I visualize all the time is making that big shot. And we had a great conversation about the line and the weight on the shot, and I just knew I was going to make it.
I mean, talking about that end there, I mean, the crowd was erupting. You had to both stay calm in the moment, but were the nerves rattling, or is it something you practice for, you know, for your whole life for this time?
Yeah, I mean, little Corey's, I've been dreaming about that moment, you know, being at the Olympics, but being in a game to put yourself in the gold medal game. It was amazing just to live that out. I think win or lose, we really enjoyed ourselves out there, and that was important for us to stay sharp, because that could have gone either way. I'm just so proud of us, grinding that out. We're going for gold. We're looking forward to it.
Defending.
All right. Going for gold. And you know, this event is relatively new still. It premiered, I believe, in 2018, the mixed doubles curling event. So it's been 8 years. It's only the 3rd iteration. But the history that these two are doing, these 2 individuals from Duluth, Minnesota, they're going to be facing Sweden in that final, which, by the way, that was an upset. Sweden defeating Great Britain in the other semifinal. So it's going to be a matchup of 3 versus 4. Just, they're so likable, Orri. And that's one of those things about the Olympics. You have these unknown stars that come in. You don't know their names before going into an Olympics, and I think they're going to be household names for sure.
Easily, and the history behind it, they're only the 3rd American curling team to ever win an Olympic medal, you know, because when you win a semifinal, you guarantee yourself a gold or a silver. We're hoping it's going to be gold from an American perspective, but Corey Teese is the first woman to win a curling medal because the only other American curling medals are from men's teams, captained by John Schuster. So history either way, if they win or lose, I think they're going to be sort of these, you know, up and coming stars from these Olympics. You know, they absolutely exceeded expectations. I think a lot of people were looking at Great Britain and were looking at Italy as sort of the favorites for this event. But then, you know, Corey from Minnesota just come out of nowhere. They go 4-0 to start round robin, have really close games against Great Britain. And what's crazy is they beat Italy, and this is only a few hours after they had just lost to them to end round robin.
They're good at coming back.
There's not many sports where you can turn around, lose to a team, and then on the same day play them again and beat them. So let's see how they do against Sweden, but we're a curling country, man. It's proven.
United States, a curling country. Move over football.
You betcha.
All right, let's take one more break. We'll be right back. You're watching NBC4 Sports Extra. NBC4 Sports Extra. I got a little bit of breaking news, and it involves Lindsey Vonn. We just got an update on her status, her health status. Orri, what's the latest?
Yeah, first time she's spoken out publicly since the crash on Sunday. She says she has a tibia fracture, and it's going to take multiple surgeries for her to have a full recovery. So obviously that means her Olympics is over, and assuming she does not try and ski in 2030 in the French Alps at 45, that probably means her Olympic career is over too, which is such a shame. But we've seen Lindsey Vonn do insane things time and time again with injuries. So if she can come back in 4 years' time and ski at 45 years old at the French Alps, if anyone can do it, it's Lindsey Vonn.
And here's the thing too, and we'll leave it at this, is that, you know, the Olympics, you know, you want to win medals, I get it, but a lot of the Olympics is about just being able to compete and the emphasis on participation. So the fact that she was able to get up there and try despite everything that she's had to go through, it definitely does say a lot about her grit and tenacity. Let's move over to speed skating. A lot going on in the first 3 days of competition. But first, it's all about timing. It always comes down to the 10th and 100th of a second. And Brianna Hollis has how organizers, you know, try to tell time when it comes to speed skating.
Well, as you can imagine, in a sport like speed skating, timing is so important. So we got an inside look at how everything is captured to that very last timing detail.
When this bell rings during a speed skating race, that means that there's one lap left to go. And while we watch the skaters, the game's official timekeepers watch the clock.
We have started to prepare for these games about 3 years ago.
That includes lots of setup and lots of testing. Omega has been the official timekeeper for almost a century.
First ones in 1932, and at that time it was very different. We did timekeeping with stopwatches.
Now it's obviously far more high-tech. It's a multifaceted system.
And as soon as the athletes cross the line, these photocells capture it and they stop the running time.
But that there is just part of the process of notching that official race time.
Official times are always measured with the photo finish camera.
Okay, so these here are all of the trackers that the athletes wear on them. And the timekeeping doesn't just happen down on the course, it also happens up here in this room.
And this is where all the data that we capture on the field of play is coming together. This is where results are officialized, and from here results are also distributed.
The two main timekeeper positions sit up here and have access to frame-by-frame videos of finishes to verify and push out official finish times. Reporting in Milan, I'm Brianna Hollis.
Sorry, I had to unmute us. They needed to use that a lot this past weekend because we saw an Olympic record fall in each of the three events we've seen so far. Mm-hmm. What stood out to you the most from the speed skating oval?
I think the two women's events have
Lollobrigida.
Yeah, Francesca Lollobrigida probably has had the best day of anyone at these Olympics so far. Wins gold, the first in her home country for these Milan Cortina Olympics on her 35th birthday.
Happy birthday.
Sets an Olympic record and gets to have her little son celebrate with her. It was very cute to see, and winning that gold medal, very emotional. And then just on Monday, Jutta Leerdam of the Netherlands, for all the young people out there.
Who I did not know until...
She's the fiance of Jake Paul. And but that final was just crazy because you had Aaron Jackson take the lead. Then you have Brittany Bowe and Femke Kok go, and Kok sets the Olympic record, and Bowe is in second. And then just a couple races after that, Leerdam sets the Olympic record, beats her teammate, and wins gold for the Netherlands. So that was a pretty spectacular final. And I think based off of the two finishes we've had in women's speed skating so far, that could be one of those sports that has all these dramatic finishes.
And Takagi from Japan took third, so Brittany Bowe left off the podium. She still has a couple more events to go, and this, I believe it's her final
it's her
Olympics.
Last Olympics,
She said that, yeah. So, and then Erin Jackson looking to defend that 500, but Femke Kok is basically the favorite in that event, so it'll be interesting to see that duel. But it's been a lot of fun to see, and one other note from me is that, the Dutch, I think, were panicking over the last 2 days because they were shut out of the podium, and this has been an event that they've dominated. Sochi and Pyeongchang, it was like most of the podiums were orange. And so I think they were really getting a lot of nervous going into day number 3. We still have yet to see Jordan Stoltz. So be fascinated to see that. One last quick thought, 15 seconds here, Orri.
Medal table's been interesting. I think, Norway at the top, as you'd expect. Italy's been grabbing a ton of medals. And then Switzerland flying under the radar. They've got 3 golds.
Skiing, so.
Yeah.
All right, Orri Benatar, we will see you after day number 4 of competition. Always appreciate your contributions. That'll do it for this edition of NBC4 Sports Extra. I'm David DeGuzman. Until next time, have a great one.
Thanks for watching. For more NBC4, download the NBC4 streaming app. You'll get free 24/7 local programming streamed straight to your living room. Just search NBC4 Columbus on your Apple TV, Amazon Fire, Roku, or Samsung device.